Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today it is the most wonderful time of the year. Once again, that's right, it's the Treehouse of Horror IX in this case, and joining me as always, your co-host with the ghost, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
The most wonderful time of the year, July 22nd.
Well, Halloween is canceled this year, so let me fucking enjoy this.
And it's almost scary to say co-host with the most, because Mo's pretty scary, so, that might work as well. I'm doing great today, man. I know that you've been looking forward to this. I feel like I've seen this episode quite a few times in accordance with how I usually watch an episode just once. We've had to watch this one a few times to refresh on it a little bit. So I'm ready to talk about it, my friend. I have to throw it back to you so we can get started. The man, the myth, the intergalactic hussy himself. It is Miles.
All right. I'm glad to see you're excited, but don't wig out, man.
Oh. That's all I got for you.
That's it. That's all we got. No. We got Treehouse of Horror IX, which originally aired on October 25th, 1998. This one actually, I guess technically did have a chalkboard scene, but it was just Bart writing the Simpsons Halloween Special 9 on the chalkboard.
It never says Treehouse of Horror. It just has him write that on there. So technically, in my eyes, this is not a Treehouse of Horror. This is just a Simpsons Halloween special.
That's how they've all been, though, dude. Going back to, the very first one, they've been, titled, Treehouse of Horror, but in the credits, they always get listed as the Simpsons Halloween special. That's just been, an ongoing thing.
I don't want to do research on the other 8 Treehouse of Horrors, okay? There's probably a podcast about those. But I'm talking about this one.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely check out other episodes of Best Darn Diddly to get familiarized with the other Treehouse of Horrors if you're interested in doing so.
I'm going to do that now.
I really wish you'd wait at least about an hour or so. We do get a really cool couch gag on this one. It's notably cool because of the cameo voice actor that they get. But essentially, Homer comes running in to find that Freddy and...
Nobody's there, I don't... because they're waiting for the Simpsons to show up.
Oh, yeah, he falls through, a pit or something, and he pulls up and, dies somewhat other way. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's Freddy and Jason sitting on the Simpsons couch, and they're, waiting, being oh, man, when are they going to get here? But it's actually Robert Englund, the real voice of Freddy Krueger, voicing Freddy Krueger in this instance.
I don't know if I ever noticed that, but when I was watching it for notes, I saw in the credits this name popped up, and I was like... Oh, that was actually him in the couch gag. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a line, but that's just really, really cool that they were able to get him to do that. And this is a really, heavy-hitting episode when it comes to, guest stars and guest voices. There's a lot of, just, small cameos in this episode.
Well, all right.
I will say this one on the commentary does feature the voice of Mike Scully, Matt Groening, Ron Haig, George Meyer, Donick Cary, David Cohen, for the last time, I do believe, because this is his last episode, and Steve Moore. I also just want to point out that I'm not 100% this is their first time, but it's the first time that I noticed popping up in the credits for a assistant writing credit. Carolyn Omine was on this episode, which I thought was really cool.
Starting to see her name.
Yeah, super, super neat. Super excited to have her back on the show down the road, and had a great time with her for Cape Fear in the past. But anyway, just wanted to point that out. Getting into the episode, we start with... it's Homer. I'm sorry. No, I'm about to start talking about the TV one, and that is so wrong. This is Hell to Pay.
I've never heard you apologize so much in a short amount of time in your entire life.
I've never made a mistake before now. It's really weird. Just an odd moment you're experiencing on this podcast. No, we open up with I'm confused because I'm looking at the script and it has Hell to Pay Down thing. It's because it has like an opening sequence on this one, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's all you have to know is we're going to the Quickie Mart, Miles.
Oh, it's because this one like lists out entirely like I'm looking at the script right now and it like lists out entirely the scene that I just described with the opening credits. Sorry, that was really throwing me off.
Usually the opening credits is like a small like 1 or 2 sentence thing, and on this one it's multiple
like the
paragraphs.
Whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So we open up with Hell to Pay. Man, we got there, Richie. Success.
It only cost us hell to pay.
It's business as usual at the Quickie Mart when Snake comes in looking at a display of combs, which he's very pleased with how straight they are. Passes the test. But when he goes to check out, he actually lights up one of his cigarettes, causing Apu and Mo to actually call the cops on Snake.
But I like that Apu's like, you cannot smoke in here, sir. Please, the sign is clearly posted. And it's a no smoking sign, but like all around the no smoking sign are cigarette smoking ads.
Laramie and all these cigarettes, yeah. Oh my god.
It felt very true, honestly.
Oh god, you smokers disgust me. Hey, Pooh, you got breakfast cereal for people with syphilis? I love that they bring that back in a second, too, because it's like penicillinos or something like that.
Yeah. Old Wiggum's here to help out.
Hands up, scuzzbag. Mo actually puts his hands up. No, not you. The smoking scuzzbag.
Yo, chill out, dude. I'll pay the fine.
Not this time you won't. This is your third strike. First you torched... Words are hard, man. First you torched the orphanage, then you blew up that bus full of nuns.
Hey, that was self-defense.
Yeah, well, you'll be seeing lots of nuns where you're going, pal. Hell, because the penalty for strike 3 is death.
Oh, you'll never make it stick, Chief.
Will too, because this place is full of witnesses. Pooh, the scuzzbag Mo.
I'm not going to forget this, dudes. I'm going to totally kill both of you.
And then Chief Wiggum, for no reason at all, decides to make sure that Snake remembers that little Bart Simpson is there, cowered between the arcade cabinets.
You are so dead, little dude.
Thanks a lot, Chief.
You kids crack me up.
So we see that Executions are now a reality TV show hosted by Ed McMahon and presented on the Fox network.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
From the producers of When Skirts Fall Off and Secrets of National Security Revealed. It's World's Deadliest Executions. We see that Snake is actually strapped into the electric chair on the inside. It's like all of the like glitz and glamour of like a Hollywood stage show, essentially, or like a Vegas stage show, I should say. It's just ridiculous. Dancers and all sorts of stuff. But lo and behold, the Simpsons are actually watching from home. Homer's like, "Ooh, that chair. Ooh, how come they only do crucifixions during sweeps?"
So morbid.
There's actually
Snake played lacrosse at Ball State University, giving him his stats basically.
It's like they're introducing a contestant on American Idol.
But we learned something about Snake. Although, it's a Halloween episode, so you can't really count it.
But on live TV, they execute Snake, and Wiggum's immediately like, "All right, haul that carcass over to the hospital."
Well, he also says you'll never harm another person with secondhand smoke, but then, the smoke from him burning is harming everybody in the room.
That's right. Gotcha.
Dude.
Wiggum says they need to go carve him up for the organs, and from the live crowd, Barney's like, "Dibs on the liver."
Which, did you know that if somebody gets electrocuted in the chair, that would actually make all their organs non-intact and unusable?
No, I did not know that.
There you go.
Man, what about their toupee? Yeah,
I was going to say, also, if you look at IMDb, it points out a very, very good fact that I'd never occurred to me till I read it. But they would shave somebody's head before electrocuting them, so that way there's an easier connection So if you had the hair on the top of your head, it wouldn't work as well, and it would probably be a lot more painful, and you might still be alive, and all sorts of stuff that you don't want to happen if you're being electrocuted would happen to you, except for the living part, possibly.
Yeah,
so they would have shaved
like,
Snake's head.
A nice, thick, head of hair like Snake's. It probably wouldn't matter with Homer.
So yeah, Snake would never have had hair left over to begin with if this was an actual electric chair execution. You didn't think you were going to learn this kind of stuff today at the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. That's why we're glad you're here to listen.
You sure did not. And we're also here to inform you that you should not go to seedy doctors for hair transplants, but that's what Homer would do, and he does. And I love the scene because it's Dr. Nick. Hi, everyone! And he offers Homer, basically, pain medicine, but then actually just knocks him out by punching him and then gives himself the drugs before...
It's genuine human hair.
Before sewing on Homer's toupee.
Well, no, he gets a pizza cutter from a pizza box, so you assume that, he cuts around his scalp. That's the way it makes it look, but we'll find later out in the episode that he just kind of stitched it in.
Yeah, I don't know how he did such a good job stitching with that pizza cutter.
Because he did all the drugs.
That's how those work. They just make you better at things. That's an endorsement if I've ever heard one.
There you go.
So back at home, Homer's showing off his new head of hair. But we can really quickly...
No, he goes, everybody will look at their sexy new daddy, and that line always bothers me.
It's a really weird line. But everybody does admire their sexy new daddy. That's what happens in this scene. No, and you can almost immediately see, there's something weird happening, where they do a really cool job with the animation, actually, where, Homer takes on Snake's facial features.
And his, shirt features.
Yeah, Homer's wearing a very weird shirt here. He needed one...
He puts the cigarettes under his sleeve like Snake does.
They literally talked about it on the commentary and said that they just basically needed the cigarette bit to work. So, they're like, whatever, it's a Halloween episode, he can have a weird shirt. But Homer takes a late-night trip to the Quickie Mart, and Apu immediately greets him as Mr. Simpson. What can I do for you and your new do?
You sent me to the chair.
Snake, but you're dead.
I know you are, but what am I?
We see the cops respond to the Quickie Mart where Wiggum is enjoying a squishy, and telling the news reporter how he, definitely didn't suffer much during, his death. And then Lou points out, actually, Chief, it looks like he suffered quite a bit. And we see his mangled corpse in the squishy machine.
Geez, Lou, how long are you gonna keep me drinking this thing?
Lisa is, really, heavily just, she's narrating essentially what is happening right now. She's wondering out loud, oh, I wonder who could have done this. It's almost as if, and she's realizing that it seems like it's a snaky thing to do.
But then Homer's hair turns into Snake's hair. It was just kind of hanging.
It has
it's
a
a side part,
own, yeah.
But then it changes into Snake hair.
It's like Doc Ock's arms in Spider-Man 2.
There you go. Yeah, very good comparison.
Yeah, so we see, this is where we get that great callback for Moe's cereal, because we see the next morning Moe is having a breakfast including a bowl of penicillos, and that's when Homer walks in, and we see that he puts a corkscrew into Moe's chest.
Moe doesn't understand what's going on, and just kind of like, hiya, Homer, but then gets stabbed.
And he pulls out Moe's heart, and he actually does a yoink. Moe doesn't seem like he really minds at first, but then he collapses into his cereal bowl.
It tends to happen when you don't have a beating heart.
And once again, it's the newsman that tells us some story. And another of Springfield's beloved citizens was murdered today. Filthy old bartender Moe Sislak has watered down his last highball.
Oh my god! Everyone Snakes were revenge on is being murdered. I can't talk either today.
It's almost as if he's killing from beyond the grave.
I told you capital punishment isn't a deterrent.
Don't you get it? He swore to kill me too. I'm next.
Don't worry. I'll protect you, little dude.
And again, like, the way they do the transition from Homer to Snake is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that in this one.
We cut to Bart's room where Homer is boarding up the bedroom door from the inside, making it very clear that nobody would be able to get in.
Or out.
And I love there's a joke here real quick where Lisa is like yelling out loud, essentially like, "Of course, the transplant! Somehow Snake's hair must be controlling."
Oh, shut it, Lisa. We all figured that out long ago.
It's just so great that, like, this is usually what would happen in a Simpsons episode over a course of 30 minutes, and just condensing it like this and then calling her out. I love that joke.
I like when he swings at Bart one time and Bart ducks and he hits the Krusty doll. He's like, "You're killing me," or something like along those lines.
But Bart pleads with his father to fight the hair, but Snake and Homer kind of go through a little bit of a dual personality moment conversation here.
"But I look so youthful and hunky. The kid's gotta die. But I love my son more than a lush head of hair. Don't make me choose."
Oh, what a difficult decision for Homer. I really feel for him.
But he finally decides to throw the hammer aside.
And they cut off his hair, rip off his hair, but then the toupee itself essentially tries to attack Bart on its own.
And Homer decides he's going to take care of the hair and starts punching the hair while it's on Bart's face. I love that. It's like it's the only time that an animation like this would work, where a father could be pummeling his son and you're laughing.
And then, just out of nowhere, it seems, the cops show up just in time as the hair gets flung from Bart's face. Wiggum actually starts shooting at it, to which it does a very dramatic, like, old-time movie-style death drop.
But that's after he says, like, "Homer Simpson, you're under arrest for the murders of Mo Sizlak and a Pooh Nahasa Hasa." Well, just Mo. Just Mo.
Just Mo.
That's such a dark joke.
I also really like to, just to add like a corny, Wiggum's got a lot of really silly lines here, but he adds the corny factor of, "Now that's what I call a bad hair day." May I remind you that 2 people are dead and... Oh, wait, I just got it!
Again, I feel like the Mike Scully episodes have done a really good job of getting more one-line zingers for Marge. They bring a lot more fun to her.
This was a really, like, laugh-packed, like, opening segment, for sure.
With death.
Yeah, but again, a good overall, and honestly, props to the title. Hell to Pay is a, like, clever little pun. I liked it. I liked it quite a lot.
All right.
That brings us to our second segment, which is Terror in Toontown, which is actually pretty much a spoof of the movie Stay Tuned, which is actually a really fun movie I always liked when I was younger. But in this case, it's the Simpsons kids are trying to watch the Krusty the Clown Christmas Halloween special, to which Marge basically insists they can't on account that if she allowed them to watch gruesome Halloween cartoons, she'd be a pretty lousy mother.
I just like that Krusty is telling them he's going to suck.
And then it takes a minute for the cue card to change.
Your blood!
That is really good. But Marge actually takes the batteries out of the remote control so the kids can't watch their show, because they actually have to, I think they're going out to a Halloween party, or where are they going? Because I know that Marge insists that Homer cannot go as a hobo again.
And he's dressed as a hobo, but it's literally...
He's like, going where?
Yeah.
He has no idea.
Yeah, they're going to a costume party, I believe. But, I mean, all the kids have to do is just hit the power button on the TV, and it'll be right back at the same channel they left on.
You're thinking about working hard, not hardly working, because there is some perfectly good plutonium just lying around in the couch, or under the couch, or next to the couch. They have plutonium readily available because of Homer's job.
And it's definitely not a safety violation and government violation or whatever to bring the plutonium home with you.
Well, we literally see in the opening credits
I was
it gets stuck in his
yeah.
clothes every single week.
Consistently.
I mean, yeah, it's a matter of time. I do like, though, they just decide to shove the plutonium into the controller spot, and that somehow not only works, but makes the controller, like, magical now. And it actually zaps them into the Itchy and Scratchy show, which they're immediately like, ew, we're in a cartoon.
I want to say first that they clearly do like a click with Adam Sandler thing where like Bart changes the color contrast on the TV and it changes Lisa's contrast. So it seems like whatever buttons you hit on the remote alters real life as well as the TV.
You're right. It does, and that has definitely application later in the episode. So good call, good call.
Volume up on Richie for that bit.
I do like, though, hey, Lise, we're characters in a cartoon. How humiliating. Man. It's like, how humiliating.
Why do you gotta scroll so fast through this stuff, Miles?
Well, otherwise we'll be talking about this episode for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, again, like you said at the beginning, the script on this one does a good job of explaining scenes. So you think you're at one spot and you're commenting, and then all of a sudden,
it's hard. Honestly, this is a weird format on this one, but I mean, it is what it is. We're also just not talking well today. It happens. It's like episode
Miles,
204.
why are you laughing at me?
We're gonna phone a few of these in, Richie. It's bound to happen.
How do we podcast, sir?
I have no idea. We're still working on that. But Bart and Lisa quickly realize that they are in an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. They're actually laughing at Itchy and Scratchy's antics live, but that's when Itchy and Scratchy notice Bart and Lisa, and they don't really appreciate them laughing at their pain.
That's mean.
Let's teach them a lesson. And we actually see an axe get thrown right at Bart's head. It actually splits right at the top where his hairs are, and Bart giggles for a second and is like, haha, cartoon axe, until blood starts dripping down his forehead.
Ah!
We then see that Itchy has now loaded a cannon with a lot of sharp objects. It looks like a saw trap, basically. And Bart and Lisa's eyes do the literal, pop out of their sockets, old school, Tex Avery style cartoons. And they go running away, and their eyes take just a few seconds to follow suit.
That would really upset me if I was trying to get away and my eyes stayed there while stuff was being fired at them.
Yeah, that would be definitely, especially if you were still seeing that and running blindly down a hallway.
Yeah.
Because, as far as I know, that's how eyes still would work. I'm not really sure if that's how it goes in this situation.
But it works out okay. For now.
Yeah. But we see still in the cartoon, Bart actually signals for the cops, but when they hop in the back seat, Lisa quickly realizes something's off, and it actually says to protect and sever?
Uh-oh.
It's, once again, Itchy and Scratchy dressed in police uniforms, actually in the front seat, now trying to use a chainsaw to cut Bart and Lisa in half. And this is when we actually cut back into the Simpsons' living room, where Homer is giggling and ooh, how is Bart and Lisa going to get out of this one?
And then that's when Itchy's trying to cut with the chainsaw, but he holds the chainsaw backwards and accidentally cuts off both of Scratchy's arms while he's driving.
And we get a really very out of the blue cameo from Poochie, who skateboards down the street.
And gets run over by Itchy and Scratchy.
It was short-lived.
I thought he was supposed to be back on his home planet.
Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot. Maybe he had a twin brother?
It's a Halloween episode.
It doesn't have... Yeah, who cares? Back inside the car, Bart gets an idea. It turns out he's seen a cartoon or two, and he pulls out a marker and draws an eject button on the seat, and it actually works. It actually ejects both him and his sister from the vehicle.
And he's acting all cool with his arms behind his head, acting like he's resting. until Lisa points out they're about to be in a whole lot more trouble.
Because down below, they're doing the classic, like, laying out as they're falling thing, like you said. But laying out below, Scratchy, with now having their arms put back on, they're putting, like, bear traps and all sorts of electrical wire and just things you would not want to land on.
Boring.
And Homer actually changes the channel right before Bart and Lisa land in the traps, but he changes it to an episode of Regis and Kathy Lee, where they're cooking soup, I believe it is, and Bart and Lisa actually land in the soup pot. This was actually really cool. Again, they talked about this just a little bit on the commentary, but they actually would go out there, and it was supposed to be like this really short thing, and it ended up taking a lot longer than it was supposed to, and they actually got kind of frustrated. But they were having to do this thing where they had to use like tracking balls to show like where Bart and Lisa would be, and try to like drop it down and splash it on them, essentially.
Huh. I'm telling you, the cilantro really gives it a zing!
It also notes on IMDb that this is the first guest stars to make a live action appearance on The Simpsons.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, really, it is. It's a cool moment. And we also see another change of the channel. Actually, do we run at this one? Is this where they come out? Have we gone to?
I thought they ended up for some reason, and like I've never understood why. The channel changes, but they're back inside a cartoon house. So I don't know if Homer changed it back to the previous channel, or if somehow Itchy and Scratchy had something to do with it, or the remote did. There's no real explanation.
Back in this Itchy and Scratchy show, and this time the kids run up to the TV in Itchy and Scratchy's like living room where they spawned essentially, and they can actually see their father. And Lisa's yelling desperately, "Dad, you've got to get us out of here! Use the remote!"
Huh? Oh, okay, let's see.
So Homer is like trying to figure out how to use the remote, but he's like, pause? No. 3? No.
Dad!
Hurry, Homer!
And then Itchy and Scratchy are hooking up a fire hose to a fire hydrant that's labeled piranhas.
Which is a super convenient thing to have on like standby. Like, frankly, I'm a little bit disappointed in my like city for not having the safety foresight to have piranha hydrants on every corner.
It's a cartoon. Itchy and Scratchy can come up with whatever they can come up with.
Like Dungeons and Dragons.
But this part was always a little bit morbid, because I don't know how people live through this.
So Lisa actually, as they hit Bart with the piranha blaster, I don't know, the hose.
Oh, the piranha hose.
Yeah, it basically turns Bart into a skeleton from the neck down, but that's when, as Lisa's instructing her, that's as Lisa's instructing Homer to hit the exit button, causing Lisa and Bart in his skeletal form to appear in the Simpsons living room.
Yeah, that being at a younger age a big Bart fan, this was always very upsetting to see that Bart was basically killed, but he's not dead at all.
Yeah, they very quickly got out of it because they used the rewind button, and it literally just caused like the fish to like reverse and put Bart's body back. But it was very weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely an uncomfortable few seconds.
But Itchy and Scratchy aren't done, Miles.
And they are very fierce looking with their sharp weapons as they start to attack the Simpsons.
They come through the TV. But
then Homer just bends down and picks up Itchy by the tail and is just like, "Oh, look how cute it is!" As it's like swinging its axe aggressively.
And they put Itchy in the little like mouse aquarium where it's got a little spinning wheel that he runs on.
And then Snowball 2 actually rubs up against Scratchy, who immediately does like the cartoon fall in love eyes and is like, "You're beautiful."
Ah, someone's in love. That means you'll have to get neutered.
No!
Dun, dun, dun.
And that brings us to the end of our second act. And
can a cartoon mouse or can a cartoon cat get it on with a live action cat? Is that even possible?
I think that's a category on Pornhub, bro.
You say a category?
Oh, nice. That was both a raunchy joke and a dad joke somehow.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
That leaves us our last segment, which is Starship Poopers, which is a fantastic name, by the way. Just in case you're wondering.
You love the titles in this episode.
They're honestly, like, really good. And I don't know, I liked them. I also really like the movie Starship Troopers, so that could be why.
And there wasn't enough pooping in that movie, if anything.
Right? In this episode, or this segment, we see it's at the Simpsons home once again. Marge is cooking breakfast, and she's trying to get Maggie to eat by doing the flying saucer with her spoon. And what's that?
Clever that it's not an airplane, but a flying saucer.
Flying saucer, yeah, nice. Foreshadowing. But Bart's like, what's wrong with Stinky? And Marge explains that Maggie is teething, and her very first baby tooth came in.
You!
Disgusting! But for what it's worth, it's like a very sharp fang-looking tooth. It's not like a normal baby tooth.
Not a human tooth.
It would not seem so, no. For whatever reason, it actually causes everybody to lose their appetite and leave the table, but only for a second, because Homer immediately comes back and is like, nope, got it back.
Mine came back and he starts eating Lisa's portions.
Yeah. Later on the couch, trying to cheer Maggie up, Homer is playing this little piggy with Maggie and actually wiggling her toes. Only after, like, the fourth little piggy, her entire leg pops off, but I love Homer's reaction here, because he's like, ooh, Maggie lost her baby legs.
Yeah. Normal thing.
Totally normal. Just like it's normal for every toddler to grow tentacles and start crawling on the ceiling, which is what Maggie does.
Homer, do something. The ceiling's not a safe place for a young baby.
All right, I got it. And Homer grabs a broom and starts poking at his child on the ceiling, but she starts, like, grabbing onto it and fighting back, kind of like flinging Homer around the room.
Yeah, super tentacle strength.
Bad baby! Oh, she's entering the terrible twos, all right.
So what do you do when your baby grows tentacles?
You go and visit Dr. Hibbert, because this is no job for Dr. Nick.
Yeah. Good point. Actually, I would think this would be more up Dr. Nick's alley.
His alley, where his literal alley, where his practices.
Exactly.
Marge brings it in. It's like, it's probably nothing, but we just wanted to be sure.
He gives her the tongue depressor, which she immediately chews up.
It's like, chomp, chomp, chomp. Ah!
Is there anything you can prescribe, doctor?
Fire! And lots of it.
Oh, that's your cure for everything.
I want to know other times that they've gone to the doctor and Hibbert prescribed fire. That's funny. But back at home, as the family's contemplating what could be going on, we find out that something extra seemed to happen. No, sorry, I'm getting ahead there. We actually see that Maggie's pacifier has an extra feature. It's like sending out an entire signal that goes all the way to space, where we see Kang and Kodos receiving the message. I will say that according to IMDb, that, like, radar signal actually caused quite the drama. Oh, I'm sorry, this is actually on the director's commentary. That actually caused quite the drama because sleuths, essentially, Simpsons fans, tried to, like, pinpoint where the signal was coming from, and it seemed on the map that it was coming from somewhere in Louisiana. But the Simpsons staff did, in fact, comment on this, and they said, we had a map, and we picked the center of it, and that was where our radar stemmed from. So, it wasn't quite the scientific data that they were hoping it would be.
Maybe they were already on their way to the Jerry Springer show, and just happened to be driving through that part, and it stopped at a house. There was an Airbnb before Airbnb was a thing, and it just happened to be somewhere near Louisiana.
I think it's interesting that we get Regis and Kathy Lee in real life and Jerry Springer in cartoon form in this episode. There's a lot of, like, crossing over into the pop culture spectrum in this one.
Absolutely. That's what Halloween specials are for, I guess, this time.
Sure.
Commander Kang, receiving transmission from Infant Pod 13.
Holy flicking schnit! What's the message?
Larval stage completed. Standing by for orders. Experiencing terrible rash. Over.
So they set the coordinates for the obscure t-shirt producing planet known as Earth to pay a visit to my daughter.
Oh!
So back at the Simpsons home, we see Homer is watching how Dracula got his groove back, but it's interrupted by a knock at the door. And when Homer opens, it's the aliens, but he's like, oh, great, Mormons.
Actually, we're quantum Presbyterians, and we've come to see my daughter.
Oh, Lord! I was hoping this day would never come.
Huh? What are you talking about?
You mean you never told him?
Oh, I guess we've been in denial. Homer, Kang is Maggie's father.
You intergalactic hussy! How could you? And Homer actually weeps. Was he better than me?
Honestly, no.
I guess not. We'll find out. Marge begins to remember the time that she was hanging laundry in the backyard when a spacecraft hovered over and a very advanced alien device pulled her into the ship, which was just a good length of rope.
But she goes she says out of nowhere and without any say-so, I was abducted. But the actual flying saucer lands down and they go, warning, you are about to be abducted. I'd never caught that before, but it was really quick and funny.
Yeah, great little turnaround joke.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you have been selected for our cross-breeding program.
To put you at ease, we have recreated the most common spawning locations of your species. You may choose either the backseat of a Camaro, airplane bathroom, a friend's wedding, or the alley behind a porno theater.
I absolutely refuse to go along with this. But since I have no choice, I'll take the alley. There was no effort in between Marge's paws, for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I love that she literally picks the one you would think she would never pick.
Go with, yeah. Initiate fertilization procedure.
Oh, you look lovely this evening. Have you decreased in mass?
And Marge is narrating at this point. I tried to resist, but they applied powerful mind confusion techniques.
Look behind you.
And Marge looks over to where Kang is pointing, and we see Kang uses some sort of ray gun on her.
Insemination complete.
Really? That seemed awfully quick.
What are you implying?
Nothing.
Whoa, look at the time. I'd love to stay, but I have an early meeting tomorrow. You're a super girl, though. I'll call you sometime.
And we actually see he reaches over and pushes a button marked dump, which literally propels Marge through the floor and out of the spacecraft. And 9 months later, Maggie was born.
Aww.
So now Kodos wants to take Maggie back to Rigel 7, where she'll be given lifetime employment in the Rigelian Civil Service. Homer's not going for it.
Sweet gig.
Yeah.
Then Bart comes up with an idea how to settle this fight.
I mean, after all, there is only one man who can settle an argument this bizarre.
And if you weren't paying attention earlier, we totally gave this super surprise guest away.
It's the Jerry Springer Show, where today's topic, my daddy's a space monster.
And I wonder if younger listeners in the audience even know who Jerry Springer is, Miles.
Dude, and I used to watch this show so much when I was in middle school. This was primo. This is how you learned about the world back in the day.
Especially in the summer when it was playing every early afternoon. Oh my God.
And Springer somehow really, really got into the mainstream culture too. Cause he was hosting MTV parties for spring break and shit.
Which makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense how he got so popular. But he was incredibly popular, and this was actually not at all too far outside of like his normal topic. Maybe just slightly different, but no.
I mean, you've got a very good point there.
There's actually another funny story, this one coming from Mike Scully, about his wife, Julie Thacker Scully. Julie was actually the one that went to Cincinnati to record Jerry's lines with him. And when she was, this was actually done at the Jerry Springer show, and when she was flying back to California, she happened to be on a plane full of prostitutes that were all other guests on the show that day.
Oh my god.
So it was like all like sex workers and her flying from Cincinnati to LA, and she just probably got all of the comedy gold that day.
Were they all going back to work?
I would assume so. I mean, the Jerry Springer show isn't going to pay the bills.
It was just something about you painting a picture that they're all getting on a plane back to LA. Of course.
That sounds like the start of a porn, to be completely honest.
There's a lot of cabin pressure up here.
I mean, it was one of the 4 like most common spawning places.
An airplane bathroom.
But immediately we get the fight breaking out with Homer and Kodos, or is it Kang? I think it's Kang.
It's Kodos.
It is Kodos. Okay. But Steve's there to save the day.
Wait, the script says Kang. It's Kodos, and we've been saying Kodos the whole time in the script.
I thought, I thought they were sisters. So like that's also confusing to me. Like, I thought they were both female sisters.
Nobody knows what's going on anymore.
Not even Jerry can keep this straight, because when one of his audience members kind of berates Kang and or Kodos, they respond by like vaporizing them with a laser gun, and then Jerry has to step in with his final thoughts.
And well, you also get the stereotypical Jerry Springer thing where you hear Homer and even Jerry calls him Kang, where you hear them yelling at each other and they have to bleep everything out because, it's the TV. Yeah, well, bleep, hyperbolic, parabolic, bleep, yo, mama.
Yeah, 100%. It's literally just like watching the show in the 90s. But Springer gives his final thoughts like he always does in his stool in front of his brick wall and sign. Now, hold on. Or, that's actually him. And for my final thought, nobody wins when parents put their petty squabbles above the welfare of a child. Let's hope they put their differences aside and do what's best for Maggie. But that's when Maggie actually attacks Jerry.
Ow! What the beep? Get the beep baby off! Beep! Son of a beep!
And we cut to the Jerry Springer Show outro music. Marge is sitting there. I'm so embarrassed.
That's the best. The like cherry on top is Miles. Oh my gosh!
Marge saying, "I'm so bleeping embarrassed."
Yeah.
But she also just can't believe that Jerry wasn't able to solve their problems.
And now he's dead.
Anywho, this is your last chance. Turn over the baby now,
or we will destroy all your leaders in Washington. Please do this today. Oh, wait. Is it okay for me to say that? Or are we being listened to?
I think it's fine. I don't care. Marge, at this point, you can kind of see they'll have, like, the collective, like, oh, they don't know that we wouldn't hate that. So she's like, oh, you couldn't destroy every politician.
Just watch us.
And Bart chimes in.
Don't forget Ken Starr.
Suckers!
Come on, Maggie. Let's go home.
Very well. I'll drive. And the screen fades to black as Maggie declares, I need blood.
Oh my gosh, Miles.
We get the end credits complete with the spooky, subtext and all that good stuff. And instead of the normal shh at the very end, we get Regis Philbin yelling, my eyes! My beautiful eyes! So that brings us to the end of Starship Poopers and to the end of Treehouse of Horror 9. Richie, was there anything else that you wanted to add about this episode?
Yeah, Miles, I want to get Jerry Springer serious here with you for a second. I know we all have difficulty dealing with animal cruelty and whatnot, especially Miles, and I don't want people to think that I'm making light of the subject, but how did you handle Poochie getting run over?
It was so quick and sudden, and I know it doesn't count because it's a Halloween episode, so I was okay with it.
Oh, okay. This was a fun Halloween episode, man. I remember the Springer bit, and I definitely remember the first one, the Hell to Pay, but I even talked to you about this a few weeks ago that I really didn't remember the second one, the Itchy and Scratchy with Marge being in... Marge. Oh my gosh, I can't say Marge or Miles or Bart or Lisa. I don't remember the kids getting sucked into it. So, like, it was fun getting to revisit that. And I started remembering it a little bit as I was watching it, but, like, it's enjoyable to me in the earlier seasons like this when I don't quite remember an episode all the way, where I get, like, a little bit of freshness on it in my brain. So I enjoyed that very much.
This was the Halloween episode I was least familiar with of the ones that we've reviewed so far. I mean, I'd still seen it at least 10 times, but, like, I'm getting to a point where, like, I've seen it less than, you know, the other ones at that point. I'm going to give away the fact that we recorded these out of order, because I remember when we talked about Dish Upon a Star last week, which will actually be airing after this episode, so that's confusing, but I am definitely noticing in this season more of a tendency to do more current day pop culture references, which I do like because I get them, but I do also wonder if that doesn't contribute in, you know, hurting the general popularity of the show, because those jokes are not timeless as they once were. To your point earlier, I think some people tuning in would be like, Jerry who?
Yeah, but to be fair, it was a spot-on impersonation of his entire show.
And he did the voice. He was one of the many, many guests. Jerry Springer himself was recorded, and I think it's really cool and says a lot that, you know, you're getting so many guest voices in these Halloween specials.
Absolutely.
I do also have one more fun fact I want to share before we call it a day. We talked about it a little bit at the start, but this was actually David X. Cohen's very last episode that he wrote for The Simpsons. He was actually a writer for the segment Starship Poopers. And
makes sense.
He went on to work for Futurama after this, and just to kind of have his last hurrah, I guess, in his spooky credits, he was credited in this episode as David Watch Futurama Cohen.
Yep. Nice little plug in there.
I just thought that was a fun way to, you know, be promoting yourself. Always be pushing you, man.
So we will start doing Simpsons and Futurama in episode, or I was going to say, who are you doing that with? I love Futurama, don't get me wrong, and after this show, I would definitely consider it, but we still have a ways to go on this one, so we should probably not get our feet ahead of ourselves. We don't know if we're even going to be here that long.
Yep. But that is going to do it for this week. That, honestly, sadly, the show, literally, The Simpsons might outlive both of us, and definitely our podcast.
Man, but, that would be so weird.
Honestly, I'm good with it.
Knock on wood.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm fine. They deserve it. But that's going to bring us to the end of this week's Best Darn Diddly, not the end of Best Darn Diddly. Man, that just got worse than I wanted to.
We're getting so dark at the end.
This was a hard episode for some reason. As much as I enjoyed it, we both stumbled. But hey, you know what? We'll try again. You know what? We recorded out of order. I guarantee you next week's episode is less chaotic than this one. It's a promise I can live up to. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter. Richie's at @thewiz_kid23. I am at Mr. Most Days Off, and our show is at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY.
Ooh. Thank you for tuning in each and every week, and thank you so much for all the follows. You can also like us on Facebook. You can contribute on Patreon.com. We've got plenty of fun stuff on PopThreads.com. And the other one that Richie always forgets and fucks up, and then Miles gets mad at him.
Oh, am I supposed to bail you out on this?
I'm legitimately trying to think of what the other one is.
I stopped listening. I was looking at next week's episode, so just call it good with that.
Oh, right. Okay.
I thought you could handle plugs.
Well, you always do them, so I always forget what they are. He keeps telling me to get a list like he has, I'm sure. Right. So,
you know what? Next week's episode's better. Come back then. We'll be reviewing When You Dish Upon a Star.
And we'll have fire and lots of it.
So until next time, be cromulent to each other.